Want to install a new operating system on your computer but feel completely overwhelmed by the task? You are not alone. Many people see installing Windows, or even more dauntingly, Linux, as a complex process reserved only for tech experts or seasoned IT professionals. The truth is, it's much simpler than you might think. Whether you are building a new PC from scratch, breathing new life into an old machine, or simply curious about what else is out there beyond your current setup, this guide is designed for you. We are here to demystify the entire process, breaking down every single action into small, manageable, and easy-to-follow steps. Today you will learn a fundamental skill that puts you in control of your hardware. This guide is your personal roadmap. We will walk you through everything, starting from the absolute basics. Forget about confusing technical jargon and intimidating command lines for now. Our goal is to make this journey as smooth and straightforward as possible, ensuring that even a complete beginner can follow along without getting lost. We'll cover the installation of the two most popular operating systems in the world: Windows, the global standard for personal computing, and Linux, the powerful open-source alternative loved by developers and tech enthusiasts alike. By the end of this tutorial, you will not only have a freshly installed operating system, but also the confidence to do it again whenever you need to. Imagine having the power to choose exactly what software runs your computer. This isn't just about upgrading or fixing a problem, it's about empowerment. Learning to install an OS opens up a world of possibilities. You can customize your machine for gaming, programming, video editing, or simply for a faster, cleaner, everyday experience. We believe that everyone should have this knowledge. It's a foundational piece of computer literacy that gives you a deeper understanding of the technology you use every day. So, welcome to your one-stop guide for mastering your machine. Let's get started on this exciting journey together and unlock your computer's true potential. We'll start with the essentials, making sure you have everything you need before we even begin the installation. This includes backing up your precious data, gathering the necessary tools like a simple USB drive, and downloading the official operating system files directly from their sources. Then, we will guide you step by step through the Windows installation process, which is the most common starting point for many users. After that, we will explore the world of Linux, showing you how to install a popular version like Ubuntu or Linux Mint. Finally, we'll show you how to set up a dual boot system, allowing you to have both Windows and Linux on the same computer. You might be wondering, why would anyone need both Windows and Linux on the same computer? It's a fair question. For most people, a single operating system is perfectly fine for daily tasks like browsing the web, sending emails, and using Office software. However, running two systems, a setup known as dual booting, offers an incredible amount of flexibility and opens up a new dimension of computing. Windows is fantastic for its vast software compatibility, especially for gaming and professional applications like the Adobe Creative Suite or Microsoft Office. It is familiar, user-friendly, and supported by virtually every hardware manufacturer, making it a reliable and versatile choice for the average user. On the other hand, Linux offers a completely different set of advantages that make it an indispensable tool for a growing number of people. It is renowned for its security, stability, and efficiency, often running faster than Windows on the exact same hardware, especially on older machines. For programmers, developers, and scientists, Linux provides a powerful environment with a vast repository of free, open-source tools and utilities right at their fingertips. It is the backbone of the internet and the preferred platform for web servers, supercomputers, and embedded systems. Having access to Linux means you can learn skills that are highly valued in the tech industry, all without spending a dime on software. The real magic happens when you combine the strengths of both. With a dual boot setup, you get the best of both worlds on a single machine. You can use Windows for your favorite games and essential work applications that are not available on Linux. Then, with a simple restart, you can boot into your Linux system to write code, experiment with networking tools, or simply enjoy a more lightweight and customizable computing experience. This setup is perfect for students in computer science, aspiring cybersecurity professionals, or anyone who is simply curious and loves to tinker with technology. It is like having two specialized toolkits instead of just one. Ultimately, learning to install both systems is about more than just practical benefits. It's about freedom and exploration. It gives you the freedom to choose the right tool for the right job, rather than being locked into a single ecosystem. It also encourages you to explore beyond your comfort zone, learn how different systems work, and gain a much deeper appreciation for the technology that powers our digital world. This guide will show you exactly how to achieve this powerful setup safely without losing any of your important files. You'll see that giving yourself the option to run either Windows or Linux is a game changer for any tech enthusiast. Before we dive into the actual installation, we need to gather a few essential tools. Think of this as our preparation phase, like a chef gathering all their ingredients before they start cooking. Getting everything ready now will make the entire process much smoother and prevent any frustrating interruptions later on. First and foremost, you will need a reliable computer that you plan to install the new operating system on. This guide applies whether it's a brand new desktop you just built or an older laptop you want to rejuvenate. You will also need a stable internet connection, as we will be downloading some fairly large files. These files are the operating system installers, known as ISO files, and they can be several gigabytes in size. Next on our list is a physical item, a USB flash drive. This small device will be our key to unlocking the installation process. We will transform it into a bootable installer, which means the computer will be able to start up directly from this USB drive instead of its internal hard drive. Make sure your USB drive has at least 8 gigabytes of storage capacity. While a larger drive will work just fine, 8 gigabytes is the minimum requirement to hold the installation files for either modern Windows or Linux distributions. It is also crucial to understand that any data currently on this USB drive will be completely erased during the process, so be sure to save any important files from it somewhere else before we begin. With our physical tools sorted, let's turn to the software we need to download. The most important files are the operating system ISOs themselves. For Windows, you can get the official ISO file directly from Microsoft's website. They provide a tool called the Media Creation Tool, but for our method, we will focus on downloading the standalone ISO file, which gives us more flexibility. For Linux, we have a world of choice. We will focus on beginner-friendly versions like Ubuntu or Linux Mint. You can download their ISO files for free from their respective official websites. Always download from the official source to ensure the files are safe and virus-free. Finally, we need one more piece of software to tie everything together. This is a utility that will take the ISO file we downloaded and correctly write it to our USB drive, making it bootable. There are several great free options available, but two of the most popular and reliable choices are Rufus and Balena Etcher. Rufus is a lightweight and powerful tool that is perfect for creating Windows bootable drives, while Balena Etcher is known for its simple, user-friendly interface that works great for both Linux and Windows. We will walk you through using one of these tools in a later section, but for now just download it and have it ready on your computer. This next step is without a doubt the most critical part of the entire preparation process. Before you make any changes to your computer's drives, you must back up your data. I cannot stress this enough. The installation process involves formatting drives and modifying partitions, which can permanently delete all the files stored on them. Imagine losing years of precious family photos, important work documents, or your entire music collection in an instant. This is a preventable disaster, and taking the time to back up your files is your insurance policy against it. Even if you are installing on a brand new empty drive, getting into the habit of backing up is a fundamental skill for any computer user. So what should you back up? The simple answer is anything you cannot afford to lose. Start by thinking about your personal files. This typically includes documents, desktop files, pictures, videos, and music. Don't forget to check less obvious places like your downloads folder or specific application folders that might contain saved projects or settings. You should also consider backing up your browser bookmarks, saved passwords, and any application-specific data that is stored locally. Making a list can be incredibly helpful to ensure you don't miss anything important. It is always better to back up more than you think you need than to regret not saving a crucial file later. There are several ways to perform a backup, and the method you choose will depend on how much data you have and what resources are available. The most straightforward method is using an external hard drive or a large USB stick. You can simply connect the drive to your computer and manually copy and paste all your important folders onto it. This gives you a physical copy that you control completely. Another popular and convenient option is to use cloud storage services like Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox. You can upload your files to the cloud, where they will be safely stored on remote servers, accessible from any device with an internet connection. For a more comprehensive backup, you can use dedicated backup software. Windows has a built-in backup and restore feature, and macOS has Time Machine. These tools can create a full image of your system, which is an exact copy of your entire drive, including the operating system, applications, settings, and all your files. While this is more advanced, it offers the most complete protection. Whichever method you choose, double-check that the backup was successful. Open a few files from your backup location to ensure they are not corrupted and are fully accessible. Only once you are 100% certain that your data is safe, should you proceed to the next step. Now that your data is safely backed up and you have downloaded the necessary ISO file and software utility, it's time to create our bootable USB drive. This is the tool that will allow us to start the installation process. We are essentially turning a standard storage device into a special installer. This process will copy all the necessary operating system files from the ISO onto the USB drive and add a special piece of code called a bootloader, which tells the computer how to start from the USB. For this guide we will use Rufus, as it is a very popular and versatile tool, especially for Windows installations. But the steps are very similar if you choose to use Balena Etcher. First, plug your 8GB or larger USB drive into an available USB port on your computer. Remember, this drive will be completely wiped, so make sure it doesn't contain any files you need. Next, launch the Rufus application that you downloaded earlier. You will be greeted with a simple window with several options. The interface is quite intuitive. At the top, under the device drop-down menu, Rufus should automatically detect your USB drive. If you have multiple USB devices connected, be very careful to select the correct one from the list to avoid accidentally erasing the wrong drive. Next, you need to tell Rufus which operating system you want to put on the drive. To do this, look for the Boot Selection section and click the Select button. A File Explorer window will open, allowing you to navigate to and select the Windows or Linux ISO file you downloaded earlier. Once you have selected the ISO, Rufus will automatically adjust some of the other settings for you. For most modern computers made in the last decade, you should leave the partition scheme set to GPT and the target system set to UEFI. These are the modern standards that ensure compatibility with your computer's firmware. With all the settings configured, you are ready for the final step. Double-check that you have selected the correct USB device and the correct ISO file. When you are confident that everything is set up properly, click the Start button at the bottom of the Rufus window. Rufus will pop up a warning message, reminding you that all data on the selected USB drive will be destroyed. This is your final chance to back out. Click OK to confirm, and the process will begin. Rufus will now format the drive and copy the files, which will take several minutes. Once the progress bar is full and says, "Ready," your bootable installation USB is complete and you can close the application. With your bootable USB drive created and your data safely backed up, you are now ready to begin the Windows installation process. This is where the action truly starts. The very first step is to tell your computer to start up, or boot, from the USB drive we just prepared instead of its regular internal hard drive. To do this, you will need to access your computer's boot menu. This special menu is accessible for a few brief moments right after you turn on your PC. It allows you to choose which device you want to load an operating system from. The key to accessing this menu varies depending on your computer's manufacturer, but it is typically one of the function keys like F12, F10, F9, F8, or sometimes the escape key. To get started, make sure your computer is completely shut down. Now plug your newly created bootable USB drive into one of the USB ports. It is often best to use a port directly on the motherboard at the back of a desktop PC or any available port on a laptop. Turn on your computer, and as soon as the screen lights up with the manufacturer's logo, like Dell, HP, or Lenovo, immediately start pressing the designated boot menu key repeatedly. Don't just press it once, tap it continuously until the boot menu appears on the screen. If Windows starts to load as normal, you missed the window of opportunity. Don't worry, just shut down the computer and try again. Once you successfully open the boot menu, you will see a list of available bootable devices. This list will typically include your computer's main hard drive or solid-state drive, often listed by its model name like Samsung SSD or Seagate HDD, and crucially, the USB drive you just inserted. The USB drive might be listed by its brand name such as Kingston Data Traveler, or it might be identified more generically as USB HDD or removable device. Using your keyboard's arrow keys, navigate down the list and highlight the option corresponding to your USB drive. It is important to select the correct device to ensure the Windows installer loads properly. After highlighting your USB drive in the boot menu, press the Enter key to confirm your selection. The screen may go blank for a moment, and then you might see a message like, "Press any key to boot from USB." If this message appears, be sure to press any key on your keyboard promptly. This confirms that you intentionally want to start from the USB device. The computer will now begin loading the Windows installation files from your USB drive into its memory. You will know it is working when you see the blue Windows logo appear on the screen. Congratulations, you have successfully booted from your installer, paving the way for the next steps. After your computer successfully boots from the USB drive, the Windows Setup program will launch. You will be greeted by the first of several configuration screens, which are designed to gather some basic information before the main installation begins. The first screen is very straightforward. It asks you to select your language, time and currency format, and keyboard or input method. For most users, the default options will be correct based on their region. However, if you use a different keyboard layout such as UK English instead of US English, this is the place to make that change. Once you have confirmed these settings are correct, click the Next button to proceed. The next screen presents you with a large, prominent button in the center that says, "Install Now." This is our main objective, so you will want to click it. On the same screen in the bottom left corner you might notice a smaller link that says, "Repair your computer." This is a useful option for troubleshooting an existing Windows installation that is having problems, but since our goal is to perform a fresh installation, we will ignore it for now. Go ahead and click Install Now. The setup program will then take a moment to prepare the necessary files, and you will see a message on the screen that says "Setup is starting," indicating that the process is moving forward as expected. Following this, you will be presented with the Windows activation screen. This screen will ask you to enter a 25-character product key. If you have purchased a new copy of Windows, the key can be found in the confirmation email or on the packaging. You can enter it here to activate your copy. However, if you are reinstalling Windows on a machine that already had an activated version of Windows 10 or 11, or if you plan to activate it later, you can simply click the "I don't have a product key" link. Microsoft allows you to complete the installation without a key, and Windows will activate automatically later if it detects a valid digital license tied to your computer's hardware. The final step in this initial phase is to choose which version of Windows you want to install. If you entered a product key, this step might be skipped as the key determines the version. If not, you will see a list of different Windows editions, such as Windows 11 Home, Windows 11 Pro, or Windows 11 Education. It is very important to select the edition for which you have a license. For most home users, Windows 11 Home is the standard choice. Make your selection from the list and click Next. You will then be asked to accept the Microsoft software license terms. Check the box to accept the terms and click Next one more time to move on to the most crucial part of the installation: disk partitioning. This next step is arguably the most critical and potentially confusing part of the entire installation process, so we will take our time to explain it carefully. The screen you are now looking at asks, which type of installation do you want? You will be given two options: Upgrade and Custom. The Upgrade option is used when you want to install a newer version of Windows over an older one, while keeping your files, settings, and applications. Since we are performing a clean, fresh installation, we must select the second option. Custom, install Windows only. Advanced. This option gives us complete control over where the new operating system will be installed. After selecting Custom, you will be taken to a screen titled, "Where do you want to install Windows?" This screen displays a list of all the hard drives and partitions currently on your computer. A partition is essentially a section of a hard drive that is treated as a separate unit. A single physical drive can be divided into multiple partitions. If you are installing on a brand new empty drive, you will likely see one large entry labeled Drive 0 Unallocated Space. This is the ideal scenario, as it means the entire drive is empty and ready for Windows. If you are reinstalling on a drive that previously had an operating system, you will see several existing partitions already listed. If your goal is to completely wipe the drive and start fresh, you must delete the old partitions to create one large unallocated space. To do this, select each existing partition one by one. They might be labeled System, Recovery, MSR, or Primary, and click the Delete option below the list. A warning will pop up to confirm that deleting the partition will erase all data on it. Since you have already backed up your important files, you can confidently click OK. Continue this process until all partitions associated with the target drive are gone, leaving you with only one entry: Drive 0 Unallocated Space. This ensures the cleanest possible installation without any leftover data from the previous setup. Once you have the unallocated space prepared, the rest is simple. Select the unallocated space entry from the list, and then click the Next button. You do not need to manually create new partitions by clicking the new button. The Windows installer is smart enough to handle this for you. When you click Next, it will automatically create all the necessary partitions, including a system partition, a recovery partition, and the main C drive, in the correct sizes and formats. This is the most reliable and foolproof method for ensuring Windows sets up the drive structure correctly. After clicking Next, the system is fully prepared and the file copying stage will begin automatically. You have now made all the important decisions and the automated part of the installation process will begin. The screen will change to a new view titled Installing Windows. This screen features a checklist of 5 steps that the installer will work through sequentially. You don't need to do anything at this stage except wait and observe. The process is fully automated from this point on, so you can sit back, relax, and watch your new operating system come to life. The computer will be busy copying files, installing features, and configuring settings, and it's best not to interrupt it in any way. Make sure your computer remains plugged into a power source throughout this entire phase. The first item on the list is copying Windows files. This step is usually very quick, as the installer simply copies the core installation files from your USB drive to a temporary location on your hard drive. The second and most time-consuming step is getting files ready for installation. During this phase, the installer unpacks and prepares all the operating system files that will form the foundation of your new Windows system. You will see a percentage counter slowly ticking up from 0% to 100%. The time this takes can vary significantly, from as little as 10 minutes on a fast solid-state drive to over half an hour on an older mechanical hard disk drive. Once the file preparation reaches 100%, the installer will quickly move through the next 2 steps: installing features and installing updates. During these stages, Windows configures its core components and installs any bundled updates that were included in the ISO file. This ensures your system is as up-to-date as possible right from the very first boot. Finally, the checklist will reach the finishing up stage. At this point, the installer has completed its work from the pre-boot environment. It will now need to restart your computer to continue the setup process within the newly installed operating system. The computer will automatically restart after a 10-second countdown. It is very important that you remove the USB installation drive during this restart. If you leave the USB drive plugged in, the computer might try to boot from it again, which would take you back to the very beginning of the installation setup. To avoid this loop, you can either remove the USB drive as soon as the screen goes black for the restart, or you can simply let it reboot and not press any key. If you see the press any key to boot from USB message again, the computer will then bypass the USB and boot from the hard drive for the first time, loading into the final phase of the setup. After the first restart, your computer is now running the new Windows operating system directly from your hard drive. You will see the Windows logo again, followed by a series of messages like getting devices ready as Windows configures itself for your specific hardware. This part of the setup is known as the out-of-box experience, or OOBE. It's a guided, user-friendly process designed to help you personalize your new system. The first screen you'll interact with will ask you to confirm your region, select your country from the list and click Yes. This will be followed by a prompt to confirm your keyboard layout, which should still be correct from your earlier selection. Next, the setup will ask you to connect to a network. It's highly recommended to connect to your Wi-Fi or Ethernet network at this stage. An internet connection allows Windows to download critical updates, drivers, and security patches right away, ensuring your system is secure and fully functional from the get-go. Select your network from the list, enter the password if required, and click Next. Windows will then check for any available updates and may take a few minutes to download and install them. This is a crucial step for the stability and security of your new installation, so it is well worth the wait. The following series of screens will guide you through setting up your user account. Windows 11 strongly encourages you to sign in with a Microsoft account. Using a Microsoft account allows you to sync your settings, files from OneDrive, and preferences across multiple devices. If you have one, enter your email address and password to sign in. If you prefer to use a traditional offline local account, the option is often hidden. You may need to look for a link that says Sign In Options, and then select Offline Account or Limited Experience. This will allow you to create a standard username and password that is stored only on this specific computer. Once your account is created, you will be guided through the final set of personalization and privacy settings. You will be asked if you want to enable features like location services, Find My Device, and diagnostic data sharing. Read through each option carefully and choose the settings that you are most comfortable with. You can always change these later in the main Windows Settings app. After you have made your choices, Windows will take a few more moments to apply your settings and prepare your desktop. You will see a series of friendly messages like, "This might take a few minutes and getting things ready for you." Finally, the screen will transition to the familiar Windows desktop. You have successfully installed Windows. Ready to try Linux? It's not just for techies anymore. Modern Linux is user-friendly, secure, and free. Ubuntu is the most popular choice, backed by Canonical, with a sleek GNOME interface and huge community support. Linux Mint, based on Ubuntu, offers a classic Windows-like Cinnamon desktop, familiar and easy for beginners. Mint comes with media codecs and proprietary software pre-installed, so it's ready to use out of the box. Try both Ubuntu and Mint as live sessions from a USB, no installation needed. Pick what feels right for you. Both are great starting points for your Linux journey. Download the latest LTS ISO from ubuntu.com or linuxmint.com. Use a USB drive, 8 GB+. Try Balena Etcher, simple, cross-platform and beginner-friendly. Open Balena Etcher, select your ISO, pick your USB drive and click Flash. The tool will erase the USB, write the ISO, and verify the data automatically. When you see Flash complete, your bootable Linux USB is ready. Double-check you've saved anything important from the USB before starting. This process is quick and reliable, perfect for new users. Now you're set to boot into Linux. Shutdown. Plug in your Linux USB and boot up. Use the boot menu key, F12, ESC, etc. Select your USB drive to start. At the grub menu, choose Try Ubuntu or Start Linux Mint. You'll enter a live environment. Test everything without touching your hard drive. Browse the web, check Wi-Fi, play media, and explore the interface. Compare Ubuntu's modern look with Mint's classic style. When you're ready, double-click Install Ubuntu or Install Linux Mint on the desktop. The installer will guide you through the setup. The installer is simple and fast. Choose your language and keyboard layout. Pick Normal, Full Apps, or Minimal, just Basics installation. Check Install third-party software for drivers and codecs. Decide where to install, replace Windows or dual boot. Set your time zone, username and computer name and password. Click Continue. The installation runs in the background. That's it. Your new Linux system is almost ready. On the installation type screen, choose your setup. Erase disk wipes everything for a clean Linux install. Install alongside Windows creates a dual boot. Keep both systems. Use the slider to split space between Windows and Linux. For most, dual boot is safe and easy. Advanced users can pick something else for manual partitioning. Review the summary, then click Install Now. Your Linux installation begins. Enjoy your new OS. You have now learned how to install both Windows and Linux, treating each as a separate project. But what if you want to harness the power of both operating systems on a single computer? This is where the concept of dual booting comes in, and honestly, it's a game changer for any aspiring tech enthusiast. Dual booting is the process of installing two separate operating systems on one machine's hard drive. When you do this, you are not running them at the same time. Instead, you are given a choice each time you turn on your computer. Do you want to start up Windows, or do you want to start up Linux? This setup gives you unparalleled flexibility. Just imagine having one computer that can perfectly run all your favorite PC games and professional Windows exclusive software, like Adobe Photoshop or Microsoft Office. Then, with a simple reboot, that same computer transforms into a powerful, secure development environment running Linux. Perfect for coding, learning cybersecurity, or managing a web server. This is the core benefit of dual booting. It eliminates the need for two separate machines, saving you space, money, and hassle. You get to leverage the specific strengths of each operating system without having to make any compromises. It truly is the best of both worlds, contained within a single PC or laptop. The process might sound incredibly complex, but modern installers have made it surprisingly accessible, even for beginners. The key lies in how the computer's hard drive is managed. We will essentially divide the drive into separate sections, or partitions, with Windows living comfortably in one section and Linux residing in another. They exist independently of each other, each with its own files, applications, and settings. They will not interfere with one another during normal operation. A special piece of software called a bootloader will be installed to manage the startup process and present you with the choice of which operating system to load. This guide will walk you through the safest and most recommended method for setting up a dual boot system. The golden rule is to always install Windows first. Windows is notoriously territorial and tends to overwrite the boot records of other systems if it is installed second. By installing Windows first and then installing Linux, we allow the more flexible Linux bootloader to take control and properly detect both operating systems. This ensures a smooth and functional dual boot menu from the very beginning, so if you have followed this guide sequentially, you are already perfectly positioned to begin this exciting step. Before we can even think about installing Linux, we need to prepare a space for it to live on our hard drive. This process is done from within your existing Windows installation, and honestly, it's a crucial preparatory step. We need to create an empty, unallocated space on the drive that the Linux installer can later claim as its own. This is achieved by shrinking your main Windows partition, which is typically the C drive. Don't worry, this is a non-destructive process. You are not deleting any of your Windows files or applications. You're simply resizing the container they live in to make room for a new neighbor. To begin, you'll need to open a built-in Windows tool called Disk Management. The easiest way to find it is to right-click on the Start button and select Disk Management from the menu that appears. This tool gives you a graphical representation of all the storage drives and partitions on your computer. You'll see your main drive likely labeled Disk 0 with one large primary partition that has C listed on it. This is the partition we need to shrink. Right-click on this C drive partition, and from the context menu, select the Shrink Volume option. After you click Shrink Volume, Windows will take a moment to analyze the partition to determine how much it can be shrunk. A new window will pop up, showing you the total size of the partition and the maximum available shrink space. Your next task is to decide how much space you want to allocate for your new Linux installation. This is entered in the field labeled Enter the amount of space to shrink in MB. A good rule of thumb for a beginner is to allocate between 30,000 megabytes, which is 30 gigabytes, and 50,000 megabytes, or 50 gigabytes. This provides ample room for the Linux operating system itself, plus plenty of space for future applications and files. Once you've entered your desired amount of space to free up, click the Shrink button. The Disk Management tool will process the request, and after a few moments, you'll see a new block appear in the graphical view of your drive. This new block will be labeled Unallocated and will have a black bar across the top. This is your success indicator. You have successfully carved out a free, empty space on your drive. This unallocated space is exactly what the Linux installer needs to see. With this preparation complete, you can now shut down Windows and get ready to boot from your Linux installation USB. With your Windows partition successfully shrunk and a nice chunk of unallocated space waiting, it is time to proceed with the Linux installation. You'll follow the exact same steps we covered in Part 4. Boot your computer from the Linux USB drive, enter the live environment to test your hardware, and then launch the installer from the desktop icon. You'll proceed through the initial screens, selecting your language and keyboard layout, and choosing the normal installation with third-party software. The most important part of the process comes when you reach the installation type screen. This is where your earlier preparation will pay off. Because you have an existing Windows installation and a block of free space, the Linux installer is smart enough to understand your intention. It will analyze your drives and present you with a new, very convenient option at the top of the list. Install Ubuntu or Linux Mint alongside Windows Boot Manager. This is the option you want to select. It's designed specifically for creating a dual boot system with minimal fuss. By choosing this, you're telling the installer to use the unallocated space you created earlier as the home for your new Linux system. It's honestly the most automated and safest method for beginners. After selecting the Install Alongside option and clicking Continue, the installer might present you with a simple slider as we discussed before. This graphical tool shows your disk divided between Windows and the new Linux installation. Since you have already pre-allocated the space using Windows Disk Management, the slider should already be positioned correctly, showing Linux taking up the empty space. You generally will not need to make any adjustments here. This screen is simply to confirm the layout of the disk before any permanent changes are written. It provides a clear visual confirmation that you're on the right track. Once you are satisfied with the proposed layout, click the Install Now button. A final confirmation window will appear, providing a summary of the actions the installer is about to take. It will state that it is going to format the free space and create new partitions for Linux. This is your last chance to go back if you are unsure about anything. Since we have planned this carefully, you can confidently click Continue. The installer will then proceed with the rest of the setup automatically, copying files and configuring the system. While it works, it will also install the special bootloader that makes dual booting possible. While the Linux installer copies files and sets up your new system, it performs one final crucial task in the background. It installs a program called the Grub bootloader. Grub stands for Grand Unified Bootloader, and its job is to take control of the computer's startup process. Before Grub, your computer was configured to boot directly into the Windows Boot Manager. Grub replaces this as the primary boot program. It's intelligent enough to scan your hard drive for all installed operating systems and create a menu that allows you to choose which one you want to load each time you start your computer. Once the installation is complete, you'll be prompted to restart your computer. Go ahead and do so, making sure to remove the Linux installation USB drive as the computer reboots. Now, instead of booting directly into Windows or Linux, you'll be greeted by a new menu on a plain background. This is the Grub menu. You'll see a list of options with entries for your Linux distribution like Ubuntu and for the Windows Boot Manager. This menu is the heart of your dual boot system. It puts you in complete control of your machine's startup sequence every single time. Using the Grub menu is incredibly simple. You can use the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard to highlight the operating system you wish to launch. The first option, usually your new Linux installation, will be highlighted by default. If you do nothing, a short timer will count down, typically 10 seconds, and it will automatically boot the default selection. If you want to boot into Windows, simply use the arrow keys to navigate down to the Windows Boot Manager entry and press the Enter key. Your computer will then proceed to start Windows just as it always has. Congratulations, you have successfully set up a dual boot system. You can now switch between Windows and Linux with a simple restart. This powerful setup allows you to use Windows for tasks like gaming or specific productivity software, and then reboot into Linux for programming, experimenting, or just enjoying a different computing experience. The Grub bootloader will be there every time you start your machine, waiting for your command. You have unlocked a new level of control over your hardware, giving you the freedom to choose the right tool for any job. Congratulations on successfully installing Windows. You have reached the desktop, but our work is not quite finished yet. There are a few crucial post-installation steps you should take to ensure your new system is stable, secure, and running at its best. The very first and most important task is to check for updates and install the necessary drivers. Drivers are small pieces of software that allow your operating system to communicate properly with your computer's hardware components like your graphics card, sound card, and networking adapter. While Windows is excellent at finding many generic drivers automatically, it is always best to run a full update to get the latest and most optimized versions for your specific hardware. To get started, connect to the internet if you have not already done so. Next, open the Windows Settings app. You can do this by clicking the Start button and then clicking the gear-shaped settings icon, or by simply pressing the Windows key plus the letter I on your keyboard. Once in the Settings app, navigate to the Windows Update section. Here, you should click the Check for Updates button. Windows will then connect to Microsoft servers and begin downloading and installing a whole host of updates. This will include important security patches, bug fixes, and a wide array of driver updates. This process can take some time and may require one or more restarts to complete. While Windows Update is very comprehensive, there is one driver that often deserves special attention: your graphics card driver. If you have a dedicated graphics card from NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel, it is highly recommended that you visit the manufacturer's official website directly to download their latest driver package. These packages often contain performance optimizations and control panel software that are not included in the generic drivers supplied by Windows Update. This is especially important if you plan on using your computer for gaming or video editing, as the correct driver can significantly boost performance and stability. Simply search for your graphics card model on the manufacturer's support page and download the appropriate installer. Once your system is fully updated and all drivers are installed, the final step is to install your essential applications. This is where you personalize the system to your needs. Start by installing your favorite web browser, whether it's Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or another alternative. Next, install an antivirus program if you prefer something other than the built-in Microsoft Defender, which is quite capable for most users. Then you can move on to your productivity software like Microsoft Office or LibreOffice, your communication tools like Discord or Zoom, and any other programs you rely on for work or entertainment. With your updates, drivers, and software installed, your new Windows system is now fully prepared and ready for use. Welcome to your new Linux desktop. Just like with Windows, there are a few essential first steps to ensure your system is secure, up-to-date, and ready for action. The Linux ecosystem is built on continuous improvement, so keeping your system updated is one of the most important habits. Linux makes this simple through package management. Your first task should be to open a terminal window. The terminal allows you to communicate directly with your operating system, and it's an incredibly powerful tool. You can find it in your Applications menu or use Ctrl+Alt+T. Don't be intimidated by the blinking cursor. We're only going to run one simple command. In the terminal, type this command and press enter sudo apt update and then sudo apt upgrade. Let's break this down. Sudo stands for superuser do and grants administrative privileges. Apt update contacts the software repositories and refreshes the list of available packages. The and means if the first command succeeds, run the next one. Sudo apt upgrade installs the newest versions of all software and system components. You'll be asked for your password and may need to type Y to confirm. With your system updated, it's time to check for additional drivers. There might be manufacturer-specific drivers available for your graphics card or Wi-Fi adapter. Ubuntu and Linux Mint include a driver manager application. Find it by searching in your Applications menu. Open the tool and it will scan your hardware and check for available proprietary drivers. If it finds any, it will list them and let you install with a single click. This can improve performance and enable features. Finally, it's time to explore and install applications. Your distribution has a built-in software center. This is like an app store, giving you access to thousands of applications. You can browse categories or search for software like VLC Media Player, GIMP Image Editor, or Visual Studio Code. Installation is as simple as clicking install. This tool is perfect for beginners, but you can also install from terminal using sudo apt install commands. Enjoy exploring your new operating system. If you have followed along with this guide, you have accomplished something truly significant. You have navigated what many consider a complex and technical challenge, transforming from a tentative beginner into an empowered user who can command their own hardware. We began this journey by demystifying the process, assuring you that installing an operating system was well within your reach. We then meticulously prepared for the task, gathering our digital tools, downloading the necessary ISO files, and, most importantly, securing your invaluable data through a thorough backup. This careful preparation laid the groundwork for a smooth and stress-free installation, a foundational practice for any future technical endeavor you might undertake in the world of computing. You learned a fundamental skill that puts you firmly in control. Next, we walked step by step through the installation of Windows, the world's most ubiquitous desktop operating system. You learned how to create a bootable USB, how to command your computer to boot from it, and how to navigate the setup screens. We tackled the most intimidating part, disk partitions, by simplifying it into a clear, manageable process of deleting old partitions to create a clean slate. Then, with a newfound sense of confidence, we ventured into the vibrant and powerful world of Linux. You discovered the key differences between popular distributions like Ubuntu and Linux Mint, and experienced the incredible live environment feature, allowing you to test drive an entire OS without any commitment before proceeding with the installation. The pinnacle of this learning experience was setting up a dual boot system, a configuration that truly offers the best of both worlds. You learned the professional's method installing Windows first, then carefully carving out space for its new neighbor using Windows' own disk management tool. This preparation made the Linux installation remarkably straightforward, allowing you to simply install alongside your existing system. You were introduced to the Grub bootloader, the simple yet powerful menu that now greets you at every startup, giving you the ultimate choice of which operating system to run. This setup is a testament to your new skills, a tangible result of your efforts to have both gaming power and development freedom on one machine. Finally, we covered the crucial post-installation steps for both environments. You learned that the journey does not end when the desktop appears. For both Windows and Linux, you now know how to perform essential system updates, install the latest hardware drivers for optimal performance, and begin populating your new system with the applications that make it truly yours. From checking Windows Update to running your first sudo apt upgrade command in the Linux terminal, you have taken the final steps to ensure your new operating systems are secure, stable, and perfectly tailored to your needs. You have not just installed an OS, you have configured and secured it like a seasoned pro. Congratulations, you have successfully installed Windows and Linux, and even learned how to make them coexist peacefully on a single machine. This is a massive achievement, and a foundational skill that opens up countless new avenues for learning and exploration. But this is not the end of your journey. It is merely the beginning of a much larger and more exciting adventure. The knowledge you have gained serves as a launchpad. Do not let your new Linux installation sit idle. Dive in and explore. Try customizing your desktop environment, learn your way around the file system, and get comfortable with using the terminal for basic tasks. The more you use it, the more you will appreciate its power and flexibility. We strongly encourage you to continue learning. The world of technology is vast and constantly evolving, and there is always something new to discover. Now that you have a dual boot system, you have the perfect sandboxed environment to experiment without fear. Use your Linux partition to learn a new programming language like Python, or to set up a local web server to learn web development. Explore the world of open source software and find free alternatives to the programs you use every day. On the Windows side, you can delve deeper into advanced tools like the PowerShell, or learn more about system administration and networking. Your curiosity is your only limit. Remember the value of what you have built. Having both Windows and Linux at your disposal is a powerful asset for any student, hobbyist, or aspiring IT professional. You have the freedom to use the right tool for any job. You can rely on Windows for its unparalleled software and gaming compatibility, while turning to Linux for its robust security, stability, and development toolchain. This flexibility not only makes you more efficient, but also makes you a more well-rounded and knowledgeable computer user. Being proficient in both major operating system ecosystems is a highly valuable skill in today's tech-driven job market, setting you apart from those who remain confined to a single platform. So as we conclude this guide, we hope you feel a sense of accomplishment and excitement for what lies ahead. You have taken a significant step in mastering your technology. Continue to be curious, continue to experiment, and never be afraid to break things in the process of learning. That is what backups and fresh installs are for. Share your newfound knowledge with others and keep building on the solid foundation you have created today. The digital world is yours to explore, and you now have the keys to unlock more of its doors than ever before. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we wish you the best of luck in all your future tech adventures.